Ksenia.
Hello and welcome everyone. We live in a very special place. Located on the traditional, unceded ancestral lands of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, the city of Vancouver is unparalleled in its natural beauty, and how lucky we are to call this place our home. And the city we live touches our lives every day. And how incredibly fortunate we are that we live in a democratic society where we, ordinary people, can take part in shaping our city by casting our votes in municipal elections and also participating in ongoing decision-making processes. And City of Vancouver is providing opportunities for citizens, regular citizens like you and me, to have a say in how the city works, to contribute feedback and to make their concerns known. Community engagement and civic participations are the cornerstones of a healthy democracy. Citizens have a say in the decisions that affect them, and the diversity of views and opinions are considered to meet everyone's needs and make sure that the city works for everyone. Or at least that's the hope. But in reality, community engagement is in crisis. There is a lack of public trust. Cities, and Vancouver is not alone in that, are often accused of performative engagement, where all the policy decisions are already made beforehand, and many voices are left unheard. Well, that doesn't particularly sound very encouraging, does it? Especially now that the City of Vancouver is embarking upon an ambitious public consultation project for the Vancouver Plan, the plan that is intended to shape the future of our city for 2050 and beyond. And I have been an avid follower of the Vancouver Plan and the engagement process associated with that as a community engagement professional, as an engaged citizen myself. And I have observed that the city is making intentional efforts to get it right this time. The city recognizes the past mistakes and openly acknowledges the planning process has been colonial, exclusionary, and inequitable in the past. And it makes some impressive strides in the right direction by creating a variety of opportunities to share feedback, to reach out to equity-seeking groups, and by coming face-to-face with the public through a number of public events and not shying away from some tough questions. And despite all of that, this latest engagement has been struggling to reignite the trust of the public. And there are those who understand how the city works and are not new to public consultation, but they suffer engagement fatigue. The feedback is shared, but nothing happens, and the process repeats over and over again. And they have no trust in the process and no longer have faith that their decision and their voice will make any difference. So they either don't participate at all, or they come to those public engagement events and they make your life hell through tough questions and snarky comments that are not particularly productive. And then there are others, a greater majority of those, who lack understanding of civic processes. For one reason or another, it is beyond their range of awareness. What's happening in the city, how it affects their lives, and how they can be part of the solution. And you never hear from them. And observing all that, I felt frustrated and almost hopeless. What city will we be living in if we're not willing to work together with our municipal government? And how can we achieve anything if we're just not willing to talk to each other? So I was sitting with that and thinking about the ideals of community engagement and civic participation and democracy. And then it dawned on me, how can we talk community engagement if we have no engaged community to talk about to begin with? And I explain what I mean. As someone passionate about community, I don't take this concept lightly. While in the context of public consultation, you may think of community as the people living in the same area, in the same geographical area, such as neighborhood, the community I'm speaking about is not a simple aggregate of separated individuals in specified geographic area. These are real people. These are people who know each other and care for each other's well-being. The themes of community and interconnectedness are central in the traditional teachings of the Coast Salish people, described as all my relations. In social literature, you might have come across the term social capital. And you might also have felt it with your heart. The real connection with another human being, the feeling that you are seen, that you're heard, that you matter, that you belong, that you're needed, that someone cares about you. Strong communities have many benefits for individuals and societies. And in my work, I found that communities are oftentimes the solution to many of modern day problems. But since we don't have a full day here, I'll just say that research shows that strong communities where people know their neighbors are more likely to volunteer, participate in community life, and cast a vote. The unfortunate reality, however, is that 1 in 5 residents don't know their neighbor well enough to ask for help. And as one senior in my community put it, if I die tomorrow, no one will even notice. And when we talk about engagement, how can we possibly engage residents on the matters of the city, of the future generations, if they're disengaged from what's happening in their immediate neighborhood, right here, today? That's acceleration from 0 to 100, and that's a big jump. We don't magically turn into engaged citizens only on election day or when the government officials need to get our opinion on proposed policy. Citizenship on demand has little meaning and even lesser impact. What matters is the citizenship we exercise every single day, beyond the ballot box. And community development researchers and practitioners, John McKnight and Paul Bourne and Cormac Russell, speak of citizen mindset. We're constantly faced with a choice in our daily lives, to be active citizen or passive consumer. When we see a problem, we can complain and complain and wait for someone else to fix it because it's not our job. Or we can choose to take a responsibility and do something about it. Consumer has a sense of entitlement. Citizen has a sense of responsibility. Consumer takes, citizen contributes. And when engaged citizens come together, that's when the change happens. So how do we build an engaged community that cares about the city and wants to make a difference? As someone who dedicated my whole life, my mission to build community and inspire citizen action, I'm convinced that outside programs are not enough to create engaged community. Despite all the opportunities available, people are still craving that real human connection. And the question I get asked the most is, how can I help? So it's time for a new, radical, bold approach to community development. And I invite you to consider a neighborhood-based, resident-led, citizen-centered neighborhood strategy as a pathway to strengthen social connectedness, build culture of care and citizenship. And what do I mean here by neighborhood-based and resident-led, citizen-centered? So with neighborhood-based, if you have been to one neighborhood, you've been to one neighborhood. Every neighborhood is unique, especially in such a diverse city as Vancouver. And it is people who live there who have the most knowledge about their neighborhood and how the city decisions affect them. Resident-led, as opposed to city-led, as opposed to top-down, is led by the people. It's grassroots, it's bottom-up. Adopting a resident-led approach represents a departure from doing to and doing for community towards doing with and doing by community. Asking what people care about and what is their vision for their neighborhood. And citizen-centered puts the citizens at the center of the strategy. Their unique gifts and contributions and their collective citizen creativity. And instead of encouraging passive consumerism, we start asking, instead of asking, what can the city do for you? It empowers active citizenship by asking, what would you like to contribute to the well-being of your community? And how can the city support with that? So how it will look in practice? A three-step strategy, a three-step approach to radical community development. We strengthen community by Block Connector program. We engage residents through community action groups, and we build trust through neighborhood liaison. Inspired by Block Connector programs across Canada, the Block Connectors are community champions for their city block or apartment building. They build connection with and among their closest neighbors. They serve as contact person, they share community news, updates, and ways to get involved. They host social events and facilitate conversations on what people, their neighbors, care about. And they inspire their neighbors to share their gifts and skills and talents with each other and for the betterment of the community. And next, we engage residents by empowering them to make a difference through community action groups, formed around issues of care and of concern that are identified by the residents and discovered through block connectors. Community action groups work toward making an action for positive change. What can residents do by themselves? Where do they need support of community partners? And where the municipal government can help? And finally, we build trust with the city by establishing direct line of ongoing communication and dialogue between the city and community. Facilitator or leadership team on behalf of the community works with the city and serves as the voice for the neighborhood. It is a direct line for community engagement. And cities across Canada, our neighbors in Kelowna and Kamloops, and on the East Coast recognize the value of working directly with neighborhood groups and implement strategies to improve collaboration, communication, and coordination with the city. And this strategy provides a platform for residents to meaningfully connect, to provide mutual support and contribute to the well-being of their community. It strengthens social connectedness, builds culture of care and citizenship. An authentic engagement doesn't happen overnight. Ideas are not born in isolation. Change can only happen when people come together and start a conversation about what they care. And as we imagine the future of our city, these conversations are now more important than ever. And we've been living the myth of separation for far too long. And it may be hard to imagine coming together in such a radical way. Only the past year has showed us that it is indeed possible. And it is indeed the single most important thing that can get us through the hard times. And right now, there exists an incredible opportunity to use this momentum to continue nurturing community and cultivating citizenship right in our neighborhoods. Democracy starts in neighborhoods. For engaged community is a prerequisite for authentic community engagement. The Vancouver Plan promises to put the citizens at the heart of the city priorities. And I invite you to do just that by considering the neighborhood-based, resident-led, citizen-centered approach to community development and engagement. Community has the solution. Help us put them in action. Thank you.